Today, I'm going to do some draft. I've actually got a deck already. I felt like warming up, so I did the actual draft earlier and played a game with it. I think it's okay. I won. I did win my game. It was a bit shaky because they played a Blood Moon Priestess on turn 2 and I was a bit sad, but worked out right. We were able to kill it. Mechanical Warbeast cleared up the rest and was able to win from there with some big stuff in play. So, as decks go, I've definitely found my decks this expansion to usually have some kind of fatal flaw in them. And this one's main flaw is pretty similar to the last time I played Magmar, which is it has 0 healing. Literal 0. I'm not sure I was offered any. Maybe I was, but I wasn't paying attention. Hey, Thanatos, no, thanks for joining. Yeah, it's been a little while. I guess I was off 2 weeks ago, so... yeah, since there's... Oh, I've been feeling the gauntlet recently. I feel like every time I don't ladder for a couple of weeks, either because I'm away or too busy or whatever, I feel like I fall far behind and I have to like put effort into catching up, which also means I don't play very well on my streams. But I think one of the best ways to get my head back into playing properly is just to draft, because you still it tunes up your fundamentals, gets you thinking about it. Hey, Tactical, thanks for joining too. He doesn't say hi to me every stream. You stream a lot more than I do, to be fair. So maybe it's like more normal there, right? You're just on. So obviously, since I did the draft off stream, I'll just run through quickly what I've put together and any notable picks. There's a couple of cards in here that I'm basically trying, like I haven't gotten around to testing them out yet. So we start off with, we have a Dampening Wave, which is okay. It's like a low tier removal spell. It's pretty good with Ragnora's Rippers. This deck doesn't have enough 2-drops. Yes, I didn't get offered all that many. I passed on some, not Feature Shakers, the 2-3 that gives you an epic pick the following pack like 3 times. I didn't see a whole lot else. I passed on an Angered Okadok in the very last pick for a Thrax, which I'll get to in a sec. So we have, yeah, Silithar, one of the best 2-drops in the game. No problem with that. Veil Hunter, very solid, very solid. Aethermaster is, I picked this because I needed more 2s. Wings is a good annoyance. Interference play, you can play it early on in front of them. Dietide Frenzy, so I picked this over a Plasma Storm, something like 4th pick. And I already had, at this point I had like Wings, Sworn Avenger, I think I had the Veil Hunter as well. And like some more expensive creature. Might have been a Riftwalker. So at that point, like I have all this stuff that already dies to this, to Plasma Storm even. So like Dietide Frenzy, which is quite a good card. Like the other thing with Dietide Frenzy, it gives you big tempo hits. You can play this and another threat, and obviously not kill any of your own stuff in the process. So with most of my stuff being small and that I had so far, and the tempo swing possibility of this card, I thought I'd give it a try, or more of a try. You draft weird. So some of this is just what comes up in the draft, right? But I definitely feel like I remember when we drafted the my tournament draft deck together, and you were sort of surprised at some of the picks I made. So sometimes I just want to try cards out because I haven't had a chance to before. But I'm not really much of a tier list guy. I think much more like all my drafting experience mostly comes from Magic the Gathering. Magic is limited, and Magic is very game plan focused. Like, what does your deck do? How is it going to do it, and why? So I basically never use pick orders. I don't put much stock in them, and so that leads to me sometimes also making unconventional choices. Like I remember when we did the cast of a draft, and there was a pick between Desolator and Vorpal Reaver. And the thing is, my deck was kind of shaky, and the Desolator is a really good consistency piece, but the Vorpal Reaver is a 1-card game plan. So worst comes to worst, you survive, you play that, they die. Problem solved. I did 150 hours of experimental Gauntlet. Oh my god, I wish I had that much time to play. Let me know if you want to know if any of the new expansion cards are good. Oh, well. I mean, the more information, the merrier. There's definitely a couple of fun ones in here. Moving on, we have Natural Selection. This non-bows with a lot of our small creatures, but is good enough to play anyway. Like, you do have to get rid of opposing Veil Hunters and other random chef, and it's really good later on, like, you know, the board is really clear, they play an EMP or something, and you just kill it. Gazer. Gazer is really good with the BBS. It's nice to have at least one +2/+2 effect or similar in the deck. And the rest of the cards that came up against this were pretty ass. Thrax, I picked this over Angered Orcadok, even though I only had 4 2-drops, because I think Thrax is really good. It's a solid body, probably better than just a random 2/3 for 2. With, you know, obviously Orcadok, when you have more of them, is great, but by itself, eh. And the ability also helps me climb out from under my own Plasma Storm, which I did get one of later. Lets you surprise people, you can get extra burst to damage, and it's just a good value card. And it goes well with the Rippers by buffing their power. Sworn Avenger. I picked this over Bloodsworn Gambler. Like, my pick 1 offer was this and Bloodsworn and some 5-drop that wasn't as good that I can't remember offhand. And I think that pick was quite close. I'd be interested to see what people think about that. It was a full-time effort, not gonna lie. Oh, fair play though. Like, I've said a few times, like, if I ever end up unemployed or between jobs, I'll definitely give full-time streaming a try just to see what it feels like. And if nothing else, it would certainly make me a lot better at Duelyst. Yeah, I think Avenger versus Gambler is quite an interesting pick. It's possible the Gambler's explosive potential makes it just strictly better almost, especially as if it comes up later on and you already have buffs, then like that's a combo basically. As it is, I felt like the fact that you can play Sworn Avenger on turn 1 makes it a lot stronger. As a freelancer, I'm always in between jobs. Rough. I did wonder how people do it, right? Because I know there's a few people who stream way more than me who have jobs. I don't know whether they're full-time jobs or part-time jobs or whatever, but like jobs in general. But if you're a freelancer, that makes sense, where you set your own scheduling a lot more. Future Shaker. The other cards were terrible. What did I get out of this? Oh, I got a Jax out of it, so it was worth it. Well, worth it. Yeah, I really don't like this card. I've never felt it's worth it, and I swear I always draw it way more than whatever random legendary I got off it. Ditto the 4/4/1. The one that makes epics is alright though, because a 2/3 for 2 is way less bad than a 3/3 for 3 or a 4/4 for 4. Rocket Up Terror, I love this card. It's really useful against Reva, other Ragnoras. It's, you know, it's a Blood Tier Alchemist with a bigger body. That's good. And you can play a 2/3 and then replace the rock to draw a card. So all around very solid. Bloodborne Mentor, I slammed that. Was very happy with him. Oculus, what was this was up against something interesting as well, actually. I think another 3-drop of comparable utility. What was it? No, I don't remember. The quick answer is money and sleep are a lot less consistent. Ha! Consistent sleep? Me? Ha! No, that's fair enough. Feels bad, man. Oh. I hope you're able to get some sort of stability at some point, because that's pretty rough. Upper hand. So I first picked an upper hand over a Grimes because I wanted to try it, and then unfortunately got another one later. I don't mind having one, but I don't want to. My reasoning being partly to experiment, and partly because A, it kills ranged units, and B, it kills their 4-drop, and I think that's pretty solid. Like, being able to just obliterate their Golem or whatever they played, or a Thunderhorn, God forbid, on turn 2 or 3 is probably pretty useful. And although it drops off later in the game, so does a lot of removal. It does suck to have 2 because, you know, the plan is, well, if I have 1, I can just replace it if I draw it when we're both top decking, but with 2, that becomes a bit less likely. Hey, Yoshi Games, thanks for joining. Grimrock, other cards were pretty bad. I don't really like Grimrock very much, but it can work. Omniseer, I love this card. I don't have that many 2-drops to make really good use out of it, but it's still like on the draw, you know, this into 3-drop into this is like, imagine playing it with Sworn Avenger. It's like, do you have a dispel? No, then you die. Mind Warper, this was sort of late in the draft. I found myself devoid of 4-drops, and it was this versus the 4/4/4 that gives you a legendary next pick and some trash. And I've always wanted to try Mind Warper, and so I figured with such a weak pick, it was an excuse to try it. I think this card is actually quite good. Like I've usually been impressed with it off Blue Conjurer, but never like the 4/3 and the chance of whiffing makes me never really want to put it in my deck just straight up. But it'll be interesting to see how it works out. I did steal a Dark Transformation off it earlier, which was pretty impressive, and then I didn't cast it. Upper Hand is amazing. It tends to be able to kill things Nat Select or Plasma can't. That's fair. I'm glad it's better than I think it is, at least. Grimrock is amazing in Gauntlet, TBH. It'll win you more games than Omniseer, only because Omniseer needs another minion for the tile. Yeah, the thing with Omniseer, though, is, like, you can jam it up front. With Grimrock, you can't... You have to play it defensively, which means your opponent can run away from it until they find some answer. Like, usually when I play against this card, it's a bit awkward if I can't kill it straight away, but then I just run off. It's not like it's a ranged unit. I can find time to... I can find time to find a lure, or a removal spell, or a dispel. And yeah, you know, sometimes it actually gets a hit in, but most of the time it just forces me to run away, which is a bit awkward for a 4-drop. Like, for something like a Crimson Oculus, which is cheaper, that's okay. You can jam this on turn 1. That's kind of fine. But with this is like, you know? We need to change that, Feels Bad Man. I'm not sure which one that is. But your Ragnora, they're not just gonna let you keep your egg. Oh, with Omniseer? Sure, I mean that's fine. I'm happy to just play it on a 3-drop. But the thing with this is like, this is fine to just play up front. It's slightly worse than Hailstone Golem, sure. Like, I'll take that. Need to change Omniseer requiring a target. Oh, that'd be sweet, yeah. If you could just put a tile down, that'd be amazing. They're not gonna back off, is what I'm saying. Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. It depends though, like, I don't know. If you're forced to back off in order to play this, then although that's good for your BBS, you're still ceding quite a lot of advantage. Whereas I tend, especially for playing on turn 2, I tend to like the 4-drops you can put in the middle. You know, unless there's something really good like Soul Piercer. Yeah, letting eggs hatch is fair enough. But in Valth or Starhorn, you want to be running away anyway, right? Because the problem is that isn't so much that they have to back off, because that has some value in itself, is that you have to back off to play it in some situations. But we'll see how it performs. Moving on, we have 2 Riftwalkers. It's one of those cards where like, do I need a second one? Well, they get better, so I guess I don't play Grimrock that defensively. Well, it depends. If they have something that can trade with it, then that's not really worth it, right? I'd like my favorite 4-drop in the game in Gauntlet is just a Hailstone Golem, except maybe Thunderhorn. But like with Hailstone Golem, it's got so much health and so much power that you can just put it in the middle and they can't remove it, and it doesn't get dispelled, and it doesn't, like, the 2-drop can't kill it, full stop, you know, unless it's like a, what's it called? The little 1/2 Abyssian card that death touches things. Unless it's that thing, like, basically they can't remove it. And it just gives you so much tempo. I love it. My favourite is Progenitor. Progenitor turn 2 is a bit sketch. Actually, to be fair, making an egg of a 2-drop isn't that bad. But then your 5/4 dies, right? They hit it, and they hit it with their 2-drop, or whatever, and you just sort of... It's a sweet card later, and it obviously does powerful things, but like... I think, ultimately, I just want to put a Hailstone Golem in the middle and say, this is my board, this is my tempo, get out. Which is why I don't like the defensive 4-drops as much. Speaking of great things to chuck in the table on turn 2, Primus Shieldmaster, always happy to see this guy. And Silhouette Tracer, aka Destroy Target Veil Hunter. I really rate this card. It's, as I mentioned, it kills Veil Hunters, which is very, very important. And, you know, you can snipe, like, Cryptographers and stuff with it to defend mana tiles. And you can run away from Angry Vaths, or go after Heartseekers later on. Latigress, this card is great. Just does a lot of work. Plasma Storm, I picked this up later on in the draft. It's not going to be great in my deck because it kills so much of my stuff. In fact, I think I have 1, 2, I guess 3 cards that don't die to it below 5 mana, which is pretty awkward. And even kills my Jax and my Bone Reaper. So like this kills so much of my stuff. But you know, my deck's a bit wonky, so it's not unreasonable that I'll start out behind. Then we move on to the good stuff. So I was very happy to see this little boy. I will basically never replace this card. This as well, this is an amazing win con, very, very powerful. Lots of value, lots of tempo, lots of damage. Jax, I got this off, I was forced to pick a Feature Shaker, and this was a reasonable payoff for it. So this is another like win con in a cat. I don't have any synergy with it. Oh no, I do, I have Thrakes. Ha! Jax True Sight Thrakes, that's spicy. But yeah, that's a win con. And I guess it also goes with this Nemavor. So I picked Nemavor over Taigete after some deliberation because, one reason, Nemavor is hilarious and I want to try it. It's like, I want to see if this can do anything, basically. Like, is it possible to play this card and then leave your opponent unable to draw cards after a couple of turns? And is that any good? Right? Is that too slow? Answer, probably. Should I have taken Taigete? Probably. Taigete is very, very good. But, you know, I know Taigete is good. I've played with it before. I've played against it before. I've not played with this in Gauntlet before, and I wanted to give it a shot. So yeah, we'll see how this works out. I do have quite a lot of defensive threat units. I have like Crimson Oculus, Grimrock, Sworn Avenger, Veil Hunter. Is that it? And of course, my Bloodborne spell. And I have some ways of escaping and affecting them board at range. 2 upper hands, 2 Riftwalkers, Silhouette Tracer, 3 ranged units in total. I guess the Tigris is another kind of setup unit, but it's expensive, so it's a bit harder. And then stuff like Armada, Jax, Nemavor. So I'm actually well set up to camp and play a long game. So actually, on that note, the Grimrock probably works pretty well, because if my opponent runs away, regardless of whether I get to hatch eggs or not, I have loads of cards that reward me for being far away from my opponent, which also works pretty well with the lack of healing, because I don't really want to be in the middle trading damage and racing them. I want to be hiding and trying to develop my long-term threats. Nemavor plus Jax is pretty much GG. Yeah, that would be sweet. It's like, let me kill you with all of my swag. So yeah, that's kind of the deck. We want to hide and set up long-term threats, which is a nice little plan.